I came home early that Tuesday because the electrical job at the Miller warehouse finished ahead of schedule. Funny how life's biggest moments happen when you're just trying to beat traffic. My name is James Parish, and I've been running Parish Electric with my brother Jon for 12 years. We're not rich, but we're comfortable. Good enough for a nice house in Millbrook Heights, 2 cars in the driveway, and private school for our daughters. Good enough for my wife Beth to quit nursing and focus on finding herself, whatever that meant. I pulled into our driveway at 2:30 p.m., noting Beth's Honda wasn't there. Strange, since she'd mentioned staying home to organize the basement. I used my garage remote and parked next to her empty spot, grabbing my tool bag from the passenger seat. The house felt different when I walked in. Not quiet. There were voices coming from the living room. Beth's laugh, the kind she used to save for me, and another voice, male, familiar. I set my tool bag down slowly by the kitchen counter and listened. The conversation was intimate, hushed. Then I heard it clearly. "We can't keep doing this, Jon. What if he finds out?" Jon. My brother Jon. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, processing. Then I walked to the living room doorway. They were on the couch. Beth in her yoga pants and tank top, sitting sideways facing my brother. Jon still in his work clothes. Parish Electric polo shirt, jeans, work boots. His hand was on her knee. Her hand was on his chest. They saw me at the same time. Beth's face went white. Jon jerked his hand back like he'd touched a live wire. I didn't yell, I didn't throw anything, I didn't even raise my voice. "Stay," I said calmly, looking at both of them. "I'll be gone in 20 minutes. Beth started to stand. "Jimmy, wait, this isn't—" 20 minutes, I repeated, already heading for the stairs. "Don't leave. We need to talk." I climbed the stairs with steady steps, my mind surprisingly clear. This wasn't shock. This was something else. Relief, maybe? Confirmation of what I'd suspected for weeks, but couldn't prove. In our bedroom, I pulled out my phone and started the timer. 20 minutes. Then I opened my laptop and logged into the cloud backup I'd been monitoring for 6 weeks. See, I'm an electrician, but I'm also the guy who set up our home network, our phones, our security system. When your wife starts acting strange, working out more, buying new clothes, being secretive with her phone, you notice patterns. And when you notice patterns, you start looking for evidence. The cloud backup had everything. Hotel receipts from the Marriott downtown, deleted text messages that weren't really deleted, location data showing her phone at Jon's apartment when she said she was at yoga class, photos she thought she'd erased. I'd been collecting it all for 6 weeks, waiting for the right moment. Apparently that moment was now. I pulled out my suitcase and started packing essentials. Not everything, just enough for a few days. While I packed, I made phone calls. First call, my lawyer, Marcus Chen. We'd already filed separation paperwork that morning. I'd been prepared for this conversation for 2 weeks. "Marcus, it's Jimmy Parish. We need to accelerate the timeline. I found them together today." "Are you sure you want to proceed immediately?" "Absolutely. Execute everything we discussed, bank accounts, credit cards, all of it." Second call, my sister Connie, also a lawyer, but family law. "Con, it's happening. I need you to activate the custody petition we prepared." "Oh, Jimmy, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" "I'm better than okay. I'm ready." Third call was the one that made Beth panic downstairs. I could hear her voice getting louder, more frantic, as she realized I wasn't coming back down to yell and scream and give her a chance to manipulate the situation. I dialed her father's number. "Mr. Waterston, it's Jimmy. I need to tell you something about your daughter." That's when I heard Beth's voice from downstairs. Jimmy, please don't." But I was already talking to her father, my voice calm and steady. "Sir, I came home early today and found Beth with my brother Jon. This isn't the first time. I have evidence going back months." The silence on the other end of the line lasted maybe 10 seconds. Then, "I'll be right over." Beth was at the bottom of the stairs now, crying. "Please, Jimmy, let me explain." I came down with my suitcase and laptop bag. Jon was still on the couch, looking like he wanted to disappear into the cushions. "Jon," I said conversationally, "you remember that conversation we recorded last week about the Henderson contract?" His face went even paler. "What conversation?" I pulled out my phone and hit play. Jon's voice filled the room. "Beth, baby, I can't wait until Jimmy's out of town again. Tuesday afternoon at your place?" And Beth's voice. "He's so clueless. He has no idea we've been together for months." Jon stood up fast. "You recorded us?" "I record all my business calls, Jon. You know that. It's company policy." I smiled. Of course, this wasn't exactly business, was it? Beth was sobbing now. "It just happened today, Jimmy. I swear, this was the first time." I held up my phone, scrolling through screenshots. 3 months of text messages say otherwise. Hotel receipts going back to January. Photos from your weekend in Chicago when you told me you were visiting your sister. The front door opened. Beth's father walked in, his face grim. Robert Waterston was old-school military, retired Army colonel. He took one look at the scene. His daughter crying, John trying to edge toward the door, me standing calm in the middle of it all. And his jaw tightened. "Elizabeth," he said quietly. "Is it true?" Beth looked at me, then at John, then at her father. "Daddy, I can explain." "Is it true?" he repeated, his voice harder. I handed him a manila folder. "Hotel receipts, text messages, photos, location data, it's all there, sir." He opened the folder, flipped through a few pages, then closed it. His face was stone. "How long?" "Based on the evidence?" "At least 4 months," I said. "Probably longer." John finally found his voice. "Look, Jimmy, this got out of hand. We never meant—" "Shut up," Mr. Waterston said, not even looking at him. "You're in my daughter's house, destroying her family. You don't get to talk." I checked my phone. 18 minutes had passed. "I need to go," I said. "Beth, your credit cards are frozen as of 5 minutes ago. The joint accounts are locked pending the divorce proceedings. Your car lease is in my name, so you have until Friday to make other arrangements. Jimmy, please, your lawyer can contact mine. Mr. Waterston, sir, I'm sorry you had to see this." The old man nodded. "You're a good man, Jimmy. You deserve better." I walked past all of them, out the front door, and got in my truck. As I backed out of the driveway, I could see Beth through the living room window, gesturing frantically at her father while John stood there looking lost. My phone buzzed with a text from Beth. "Please come back. We need to talk." I deleted it without responding. The Hampton Inn on Route 30 became my temporary home. Clean, quiet, and most importantly, nowhere near the mess I'd left behind. I checked in, ordered pizza, and started making more calls. First priority, the girls. Bree and Bo were at school until 3:30, then soccer practice until 5. Beth would have to explain why Daddy wasn't coming home tonight. I wondered what story she'd tell them. My phone rang. Beth's sister, Karen. "Jimmy, what the hell is going on? Beth called me crying, saying you left her." "Did she mention why I left?" "She said you had a fight about money or something, that you were being unreasonable." I laughed, but there wasn't much humor in it. "Karen, I found her with John on our couch this afternoon. I have months of evidence that they've been having an affair." Silence. Then, "Oh my God, Jimmy, I had no idea. I thought she seemed different lately, but I'm texting you some photos right now. You can decide for yourself what kind of person your sister really is." I sent her 3 screenshots. Text messages between Beth and John discussing their secret weekends, a hotel receipt from last month, and a photo Beth had taken of herself in lingerie with the caption, "Can't wait to see you tonight," sent to John while I was working late on the Morrison job. Karen called back within 2 minutes. "Jesus Christ, Jimmy! How long has this been going on?" "At least 4 months that I can prove, maybe longer. I'm so sorry. I had no idea she was capable of this. It gets worse. She's been using our joint credit card to pay for their hotel rooms. Essentially, I've been financing my own betrayal. What can I do? Nothing right now, but Karen, when this gets messy, and it will, remember that I tried to handle this quietly. I gave her every chance to come clean. She's my sister, but Jimmy, what she did is unforgivable. If you need anything at all, you call me." That was one ally secured. But I knew the real test would come when our mutual friends started choosing sides. I didn't have to wait long. My phone rang again. Dave Morrison, my best friend since high school. We'd been in each other's weddings, coached our kids' soccer teams together, spent countless weekends working on each other's houses. "Jimmy, man, I just got the weirdest call from Beth. She said you walked out on her and the girls over some misunderstanding. What exactly did she tell you? That you accused her of cheating, that you froze her credit cards and left her stranded. She was crying, saying she didn't know what she did wrong." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Dave, I found her with my brother John this afternoon. In our living room. I have evidence they've been having an affair for months." "Come on, man. Beth, I can't see her doing something like that." "I have hotel receipts, text messages, photos. I can send them to you right now." "Jimmy, look, I know you've been stressed with work lately. Sometimes when we're stressed, we see things that aren't there. Maybe you misinterpreted." "I misinterpreted finding them on my couch together? I misinterpreted months of deleted text messages and hotel receipts?" "I'm just saying, maybe there's another explanation. Beth seems really upset. She asked if she and the girls could stay with us for a few days while you cool down. And there it was. Beth was already spinning the narrative, painting herself as the victim of my unreasonable behavior. She was probably calling everyone in our social circle right now, getting her version out first. Dave, if you let her stay with you, we're done. 12 years of friendship, over. That's not fair, man. I can't just turn away a friend in need. What about your friend who just discovered his wife was cheating with his own brother? Where's your concern for me? I'm concerned about you. That's why I think you should come home and work this out with Beth. Whatever happened, it can be fixed. I hung up on him. Within an hour, I'd gotten similar calls from 3 other couples in our social circle. Beth had called them all, crying, saying I'd snapped and abandoned my family over a misunderstanding. She was good, I had to give her that. She knew exactly which buttons to push, exactly how to present herself as the innocent victim. By 8 p.m., I'd lost 4 friendships. Dave and Linda Morrison, Mike and Sarah Chen, Tom and Jennifer Walsh, and Brad Stevens had all chosen to believe Beth's version of events. They were concerned about my mental state and thought I should get help before I did something I'd regret. Only one couple called to check on me, Carl and Diane Robertson. Carl worked for me at Parish Electric, had been with the company for 8 years. He was steady, reliable, and smart enough to ask the right questions. Jimmy, Diane, and I just wanted you to know we're thinking about you. This has to be hell. Thanks, Carl. I appreciate it. Look, I don't know what happened, and it's not my business, but I've worked with you long enough to know you're not the kind of man who walks away from his family without a damn good reason. I found Beth with Jon this afternoon. They've been having an affair. Shit. I'm sorry, Jimmy. I don't even know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just, when people start talking, and they will, remember that there are always 2 sides to every story. You need anything? Place to stay, someone to talk to, whatever? I'm okay for now. But Carl, this is going to get ugly at work. Jon's going to try to turn the employees against me, make it look like I'm the problem. Most of the guys respect you, Jimmy. They know you're fair, honest. Jon, well, let's just say Jon's got a reputation for cutting corners and taking credit for other people's work. That was true. Jon had always been the charming one, the smooth talker who could win over clients and investors. But the employees knew who actually ran the day-to-day operations, who made sure their paychecks were on time, who remembered their kids' names and asked about their families. We'll see, I said. But I want you to know, whatever happens with the business, I'll make sure you and the other guys are taken care of. I know you will, Jimmy. That's the kind of man you are. After I hung up, I sat in my hotel room and took inventory. In one day, I'd lost my wife, my brother, my home, and most of my friends. My daughters probably thought I'd abandoned them. My business partnership was about to implode, but I wasn't broken. I was angry, and anger was something I could work with. I opened my laptop and started planning my next move. Wednesday morning brought a call from my lawyer at 7 a.m. Jimmy, we need to meet. Beth's attorney filed an emergency motion claiming you've abandoned the marital home and are withholding financial support. She's living in my house, Marcus. How is that abandonment? She's claiming you left without explanation and are refusing to communicate. She wants temporary spousal support and exclusive use of the residence. I laughed. Exclusive use so she can move Jon in? Can you prove that's her intention? Give me 24 hours. I dressed quickly and drove to Parish Electric. It was 7:30 a.m., early enough that Jon wouldn't be there yet, but late enough that our office manager, Joanne, would be in. Joanne had been with the company since before Jon and I took over from our father. She was 62, sharp as a tack, and fiercely loyal to the business. Morning, Joanne. I need to access Jon's computer. She looked up from her coffee, studying my face. Everything okay, Jimmy? No, it's not. But I need to handle this quietly for now. Can you give me 15 minutes? Jon's not in yet. His computer's unlocked. He never logs out. She paused. Jimmy, there's something you should know. Jon's been getting personal calls at work. A lot of them. And yesterday afternoon, after you left, he seemed rattled. What kind of personal calls? A woman, not business. She calls him baby and talks about meeting up. I assumed it was some girlfriend, but she trailed off, realization dawning on her face. It's Beth, isn't it? I nodded. How long has this been going on? The calls? Maybe 3 months. Jimmy, I'm so sorry. I thought about saying something, but it wasn't my place. You don't need to apologize, Joanne. This isn't your fault. Jon's computer was a goldmine. He'd been sloppy about covering his tracks, probably because he never expected me to look. Email threads with Beth going back 5 months, photos she'd sent him, travel confirmations for weekend trips they'd taken together while I was working. But the worst part was a document folder labeled Business Plans. Inside were detailed financial projections showing how the company would operate with Jon as sole owner. He'd been planning to push me out long before I discovered the affair. I copied everything to a flash drive, then sent myself copies via email from Jon's account. Let him try to deny it when the evidence came from his own computer. At 8:15, I heard Jon's truck in the parking lot. I closed his computer and walked back to my office. "Morning, Jon," I said as he walked in. He looked surprised to see me. "Jimmy, I thought, after yesterday..." "After yesterday what? After I found you with my wife?" He glanced around nervously. "Can we talk privately?" "Sure. Your office or mine?" We went to his office. I closed the door behind us. "Look, Jimmy, what you saw yesterday. It's not what you think." "What do I think, Jon?" "That Beth and I are having an affair, that we planned this. But it just happened. We were talking about your marriage problems, and things got emotional, and..." I held up my hand. "Stop. Just stop." I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot of one of his emails to Beth. "This is from 3 weeks ago. Can't wait for Jimmy's business trip to Denver. We'll have the whole weekend together." His face went white. "Or how about this one from last month? I found a great hotel in Springfield. Jimmy will never think to look there." "Jimmy, I can explain." "Explain this." I showed him another screenshot. "After we get Jimmy out of the business, we can be together openly. I've already talked to a lawyer about forcing a buyout." Jon sat down heavily in his chair. "You went through my computer." "Your computer, your emails, your phone records. Jon, I'm an IT guy. Did you really think you could hide this from me? What do you want?" "I want you to buy out my share of the business at fair market value. I want you to stay away from my daughters. And I want you to understand that if you try to fight me on any of this, I'll make sure everyone in this town knows exactly what kind of man you are." "You can't prove anything." I pulled out a flash drive. 5 months of emails, text messages, photos, hotel receipts, and financial records, plus a recording of you and Beth discussing your plans to force me out of the business. Want me to play it for you? Jon's shoulders sagged. "How long have you known?" "I suspected for weeks. I've had proof for about a month. I was hoping I was wrong, but yesterday confirmed everything." "So what now?" "Now you face the consequences of your choices. I'll have a formal buyout offer on your desk by Friday. You can accept it, or we can do this the hard way in court." I stood to leave, then turned back. "Oh, and Jon? If you think you can turn the employees against me, think again. They know who really runs this company." As if on cue, there was a knock on the door. Carl Robertson stuck his head in. "Sorry to interrupt, but Jimmy, the Henderson job needs your approval on the electrical layout. They said specifically to ask for you, not Jon." Jon's face flushed red. Even our clients knew who was really in charge. I spent the rest of the morning working normally, taking calls, reviewing job sites, managing the business I'd helped build from nothing. Jon stayed in his office with the door closed. At lunch, I drove to my daughter's school. Bree and Bo were in the cafeteria with their friends, laughing about something on Bo's phone. They looked so normal, so innocent. In a few hours, their world was going to explode, and there was nothing I could do to protect them from it. I didn't go in. Instead, I sat in my truck and called my lawyer. "Marcus, I have everything we need. Financial records, communications, evidence of Jon's plan to force me out of the business. Beth's not the only one who's been lying. Send me everything. We'll file an amended response to her emergency motion. Jimmy, with this evidence, we can probably get you temporary custody of the girls. I want that. But more than anything, I want them to understand that I didn't abandon them, that I'm fighting for them. We'll make sure they know." My phone buzzed with a text from Beth. "The girls are asking where you are. What am I supposed to tell them?" I stared at the message for a long time before responding. "Tell them the truth, that their mother has been lying to everyone for months, and their father is trying to figure out how to protect them from the fallout." She didn't text back. Thursday evening, I was eating a mediocre burger at Denny's when my phone rang. It was Bree, my 15-year-old. "Dad, can you come home? Mom's been crying all day, and she won't tell us what's happening." My heart broke a little. "Sweetheart, it's complicated. Your mom and I are having some problems." "Is it because of Uncle Jon? Mom said he's been coming over to help with stuff while you're working late." Smart kid. Too smart. "What kind of stuff?" "I don't know. They always stop talking when Bo and I come in the room. And yesterday, when you left, Uncle Jon stayed for dinner. It was weird." "Weird how?" "He was acting like, I don't know, like he lived here or something. He knew where everything was in the kitchen, and he and Mom kept looking at each other funny." I closed my eyes. My daughters had been watching this whole thing unfold without understanding what they were seeing. Bree, I need you to listen carefully. Your mom and I are getting divorced. It's not your fault, and it's not Bo's fault. Sometimes adults make bad choices, and those choices have consequences. Is Mom having an affair with Uncle John? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. What makes you ask that? I'm not stupid, Dad. I've seen how they act together. And last week I saw text messages on Mom's phone from him. They weren't uncle and sister-in-law messages. I sat in silence for a moment, trying to figure out how to handle this. My 15-year-old daughter had figured out what I'd been trying to deny for months. Yes, I said finally. They've been having an affair. Oh my God. Dad, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, sweetheart. None of this is your fault. Where are you staying? Can Bo and I come see you? I'm at the Hampton Inn on Route 30, room 237, but you should talk to your mom first. No, she's been lying to us. We're coming over. Bree, wait. But she'd already hung up. 30 minutes later, there was a knock on my hotel room door. I opened it to find both my daughters standing in the hallway with overnight bags. How did you get here? I drove, Bree said. I have my learner's permit, and it's an emergency. You drove illegally to a hotel to see your father. That's not exactly responsible behavior. Mom's been lying to us for months, Bo said. She was 13, but she had an old soul and a sharp tongue. Uncle John's been coming over when you're not home. They act all weird and touchy-feely, and when we ask questions, Mom says we're imagining things. I let them in, and we sat on the bed together. Tell us what happened, Bree said. So I did. Not the graphic details, but the truth. That I'd suspected something was wrong, that I'd found evidence of the affair, that I'd caught them together on Tuesday afternoon. That's why you said you'd be gone in 20 minutes, Bo said. You were giving yourself time to pack and leave without losing your temper. How do you know about that? Mom told Grandpa Waterston that you went crazy and started yelling and throwing things. But that didn't sound like you, so we figured she was lying about that too. My daughters knew me better than my wife did. That was both heartbreaking and reassuring. What happens now? Bree asked. Now we figure out how to be a family without your mom. The divorce will take a few months to finalize, but I'm going to fight for custody. I want you girls with me. Good, Bo said firmly. I don't want to live with Mom and Uncle John. It's gross. They're not living together. Dad, his truck was in our driveway at 7 this morning when I left for school, and it was there when we got home yesterday. He's basically moved in. I felt that cold anger settling in my chest again. Beth wasn't even trying to be discreet anymore. My phone rang. Beth. Jimmy, where are my daughters? They're not answering their phones, and Bree's car is gone. They're with me. You can't just take them. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. They came here on their own because you've been lying to them for months. They figured out what's been going on, Beth. Our 15-year-old is smarter than you gave her credit for. Bring them home right now. No, they're staying with me tonight. We'll figure out a more permanent arrangement through the lawyers. This is kidnapping. This is our daughters choosing which parent they trust. Apparently, it's not you. I hung up and looked at the girls. You sure about this? It's going to get messy. We're sure, Bree said. But Dad, we want to go back to the house and get more of our stuff before Mom tries to stop us. And we want to tell Uncle John exactly what we think of him, Bo added. I smiled for the first time in days. Let's go. We drove back to the house in my truck, the girls' car following behind. Beth's Honda was in the driveway along with John's truck. Perfect. I used my key to open the front door. Beth, John, family meeting in the living room. They came downstairs together, and I noticed John was wearing different clothes than he'd had on at work. He'd definitely been staying here. Girls, go pack whatever you need for the next few weeks, I said. Jimmy, you can't just take them, Beth said. I'm not taking them. They're choosing to leave. There's a difference. John stepped forward. Look, Jimmy, this whole situation has gotten out of hand. Maybe we should all sit down and... Shut up, Bree said, her voice cold. Just shut up, Uncle John. You're disgusting. John looked shocked. Bree, I know this is confusing. It's not confusing, Bo said, coming down the stairs with a suitcase. You're sleeping with our mom while our dad was working to support all of us. That's not confusing. That's just gross. Girls, please, Beth said, tears starting. You don't understand? We understand perfectly, Bree said, appearing with her own suitcase. You've been cheating on Dad with his own brother. You've been lying to us about where you go and who you're with. And now you're mad because we figured it out. I stood there watching my daughters destroy Beth and Jon with simple, honest words. I was proud and heartbroken at the same time. We're staying with Dad, Bo announced. And if you try to make us come back here, We'll tell everyone at school, at church, and in the neighborhood exactly what kind of people you are." Beth started crying harder. "You're my daughters." "You should have thought about that before you decided to blow up our family," Bree said. We left them standing in the living room and walked out to our trucks. As we pulled out of the driveway, I saw Jon put his arm around Beth's shoulders. "Dad?" Bree said over the radio we were using to communicate between vehicles. "Yeah, sweetheart? I'm proud of you for handling this the right way. A lot of dads would have just started throwing punches." "The night's not over yet," I said, and I meant it. Friday morning brought a call from my lawyer with good news and bad news. Good news first, Jimmy. With the evidence you provided and the girls' statements, we can get you temporary custody. Beth's emergency motion has been denied. And the bad news? Jon's filed a countersuit claiming you've stolen company property and are trying to force him out of the business illegally. He's also claiming the recordings you made are inadmissible. The recordings were made on company property using company equipment during business hours. They're perfectly legal. I know that, but he's going to fight. This could get expensive. Let it get expensive. I'm not backing down. I hung up and looked around my hotel room. The girls were still asleep. We'd stayed up late talking about everything that had happened, and they'd both cried themselves to sleep. But they were strong kids, and they'd be okay. My phone buzzed with a text from Dave Morrison. "Jimmy, I owe you an apology. Beth asked if she could stay with us, and when she showed up last night, Jon was with her. They're acting like a couple. I'm sorry I didn't believe you. Too little, too late, but I appreciated the gesture." Another text, this one from Mike Chen. "Heard about Beth and Jon from Dave. Jesus, man. I'm sorry. Let me know if you need anything." The truth was spreading, which meant Beth's carefully constructed victim narrative was falling apart. At 8 a.m., I got a call from Joanne at the office. "Jimmy, you need to get down here. Jon called an employee meeting for 8:30. He's telling everyone that you've had a breakdown and that he's taking over operations." "I'll be right there." I woke up the girls. "I need to go handle something at work. You can stay here or come with me." "We're coming," Bree said immediately. "We want to see Uncle Jon try to explain himself to people who know the truth." We got dressed quickly and drove to Parish Electric. The parking lot was full. Jon had called in everyone, even the guys who were supposed to be on job sites. We walked into the main office to find 23 employees gathered around, with Jon standing at the front looking official and concerned. "Going through a difficult time, and I know this is hard for everyone, but we need to maintain stability for our clients and—" "What kind of difficult time, Jon?" I asked, walking into the room with my daughters beside me. The room went quiet. Jon's face flushed red. "Jimmy, I was just explaining to everyone that you've been under a lot of stress lately and—" "And what? That I've had a breakdown? That I'm not capable of running the business I built?" Nobody said anything about a breakdown. "Then what exactly are you saying?" Carl Robertson spoke up from the back. "Jon told us you abandoned your family and that you're not thinking clearly. He said we should be prepared for some changes in leadership." I nodded slowly. "I see. And did Jon mention why I left my house on Tuesday?" "He said you and Beth had some marital problems." "He said Dad went crazy," Bo interrupted, her young voice carrying clearly through the room. "But that's not true. Dad found Mom and Uncle Jon together on our couch. They've been having an affair for months." You could have heard a pin drop. "Jon told everyone that Dad was the problem," Bree added. "But Dad didn't go crazy. He just packed a bag and left quietly. Uncle Jon's the one who's been sneaking around and lying to everyone." Jon looked like he wanted to disappear. "Girls, this isn't the place." "This is exactly the place," I said. "You want to talk about my fitness to run this company? Let's talk about yours." I pulled out my phone and connected it to the office projector. "This is an email Jon sent to my wife 3 weeks ago." The email appeared on the wall. "After we get Jimmy out of the business, we can be together openly. I've already talked to a lawyer about forcing a buyout." Murmurs rippled through the room. "And this is a text message from last month." The message appeared. "Can't wait for Jimmy's Denver trip. We'll have the whole weekend to plan our future." And this is a financial projection Jon prepared showing how Parish Electric would operate with him as sole owner. The spreadsheet filled the screen, showing detailed plans for restructuring the company without me. "So, you tell me," I said, looking around the room at faces that ranged from shocked to angry to disgusted. "Who's really been planning to abandon this company? Me or the man who's been plotting to steal it while sleeping with my wife?" Jon tried to speak, but Carl cut him off. "You son of a bitch," Carl said, standing up. "Jimmy's been nothing but fair to all of us. He's the one who makes sure we get paid on time, who remembers our kids' birthdays, who covers for us when we need time off. And you've been planning to stab him in the back?" Other voices joined in. Jimmy's the one who got us the Henderson contract. Jon hasn't been on a job site in 6 months. Jimmy's the one who set up our health insurance. Jon held up his hands. Look, everyone, this is a complicated situation. It's not complicated, said Maria Santos, our bookkeeper. You've been cheating with your brother's wife and trying to steal his business. That's pretty straightforward. I think we should take a vote, Carl said. All in favor of Jimmy remaining as president and Jon being removed from the company? 22 hands went up. Only Jon didn't vote. Motion carried, Carl said with a grin. Jon looked around the room desperately. You can't just vote me out. I own half the company. Actually, I said, you own 40%. Mom owns 20%, and I own 40%. Mom and I together control 60%, which means we can absolutely vote you out. I'll sue. With what money? Your salary stops today. Your company credit cards are canceled. Your access to company accounts is revoked. I looked at Joanne. Please escort Mr. Parish from the building and collect his keys. Jon looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, Jimmy. Yeah, it is. As Joanne walked Jon out, the employees broke into spontaneous applause. Carl clapped me on the shoulder. Hell of a way to handle it, boss. Most guys would have just punched him. The day's not over yet, I said, and I meant it more than ever. After the meeting, I sat in my office with the girls and called my mother. Mom, I need to tell you what's been happening. I explained everything, the affair, the business betrayal, Jon's attempt to take over the company. When I finished, there was a long silence. That boy, she said finally, has always been jealous of you, but I never thought he'd go this far. I'm sorry, Mom. I know this breaks up the family. Jimmy, you are my son, and you've been a good husband and father and businessman. Jon made his choices. Now he has to live with the consequences. What about the business? I'm signing my 20% over to you. Jon's out permanently. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Thank you, Mom. Don't thank me. You earned it. That afternoon, I got a call from Beth. Jimmy, please, we need to talk. Jon's gone, huh? He left town this morning. It's over between us. Can we try to work this out? Work what out, Beth? Our marriage, our family. I made a mistake, but we can get past this. I almost laughed. Beth, you didn't make a mistake. You made a series of deliberate choices over months. You planned this. You lied to our daughters, to our friends, to me. You and Jon tried to steal my business. I didn't know about the business stuff. You're in the emails, Beth. You're part of the planning conversations. You knew exactly what was happening. Please, Jimmy, I love you. No, you don't. Oh, you love the idea of not having to face the consequences of your actions. But it's too late for that. What about the girls? The girls are staying with me. They've made their choice, and frankly, I don't blame them. You can't keep them from me forever. I'm not keeping them from you. You drove them away all by yourself. I hung up and looked at Bree and Bo, who were doing homework at the hotel room table. How are you girls holding up? We're okay, Dad, Bree said. It hurts, but we're okay. We're proud of you, Bo added. You could have handled this a lot worse. The hardest part is over, I said. But I was wrong. The hardest part was still coming. Saturday morning, I was awakened by pounding on my hotel room door. I checked the peephole and saw Jon standing in the hallway, looking like he'd been drinking. I opened the door, but kept the chain lock engaged. What do you want, Jon? I want to talk to my nieces. They don't want to talk to you. That's not your decision to make. Actually, it is. I have temporary custody, and you're not on the approved visitor list. Behind me, Bree spoke up. We don't want to see him, Dad. Jon heard her. Bree, sweetheart, please. I know this is confusing, but I love you girls. I've always loved you. If you loved us, you wouldn't have destroyed our family, Bo said, appearing beside her sister. I didn't destroy anything. Your parents were already having problems. Bullshit, Bree said, and I was too proud of her to correct her language. Mom and Dad were fine until you started sleeping with her. Jon's face twisted with anger. Your father's not the saint you think he is. He's controlling, manipulative. He's honest, Bo interrupted, which is more than we can say about you. I closed the door and called hotel security. Within 5 minutes, they'd escorted Jon from the property with a warning not to return. But Jon wasn't done. Sunday afternoon, while the girls and I were looking at apartments, my phone rang. It was Karen, Beth's sister. Jimmy, I thought you should know. Beth and Jon are back together. He came back last night, and they're talking about leaving town together. Leaving town? Beth's talking about starting over somewhere fresh. She's been calling around, trying to liquidate assets. What assets? Everything's frozen pending the divorce. I don't know the details, but she seemed to think she had options. After I hung up, I called my lawyer. Marcus, I need you to put a hold on Beth's passport and freeze any accounts we might have missed. I think she's planning to run. I'll file the paperwork Monday morning, but Jimmy, if she runs, it actually helps our case. Courts don't look kindly on parents who abandon their children. I don't want her to run. I want her to face what she's done. Monday morning brought the final confrontation I'd been expecting. I was at the office, working on the Henderson project, when Joanne buzzed me. Jimmy, Beth, and Jon are here. They're demanding to see you. Send them in. They walked into my office together, and I could see immediately that they'd made some kind of pact. Beth looked determined, and Jon looked desperate. Jimmy, Beth said, we need to settle this. Settle what? The divorce? The business? Everything. We're prepared to make you an offer. I leaned back in my chair. I'm listening. Jon stepped forward. I'll sell you my share of the business for half of market value. In exchange, Beth gets 50% of the marital assets and joint custody of the girls. And you stop trying to destroy our reputations. No more evidence dumps, no more public humiliation. I pretended to consider it. That's an interesting offer, but I have a counter proposal. What? Jon, you sign over your business shares for exactly what you paid for them 12 years ago. Nothing. Beth, you get whatever the divorce court says you deserve after they see all the evidence of your adultery and financial betrayal. And both of you stay away from my daughters unless they specifically ask to see you. That's not acceptable, Beth said. Then we go to court and let a judge decide. But Beth, you should know. I have evidence of you accessing my business accounts without authorization. That's embezzlement. And Jon, those emails where you discussed stealing company clients? That's corporate espionage. Jon's face went white. You wouldn't press charges. Try me. They looked at each other, some silent communication passing between them. Fine, Beth said finally. But I want one thing. What? I want to talk to the girls, alone, 5 minutes each. I considered it. They can choose whether or not to talk to you, but it happens here, with me present. That's not alone. That's the offer. Beth looked like she wanted to argue, but Jon put his hand on her arm. Take it, he said quietly. I called the girls, who were at school, and asked if they wanted to come to the office after classes to see their mother. Both said yes, but only to tell her exactly what we think of her. At 4 p.m., Bree and Bo arrived at Parish Electric. I'd cleared the main office so we could have privacy, but several employees found reasons to work late, curious about the final showdown. Beth was waiting in the conference room with Jon. When the girls walked in, she started crying immediately. My babies, she said, reaching for them. Both girls stepped back. We're not your babies anymore, Bree said coldly. Babies don't understand when their mothers lie to them and cheat on their fathers. I made mistakes. You made choices, Bo corrected. And now you have to live with them. I love you both so much. If you loved us, you would have thought about us before you started sleeping with Uncle Jon, Bree said. If you loved us, you wouldn't have tried to steal Dad's business. If you loved us, you would have been honest instead of making us live in a house full of lies. Beth was sobbing now. Please, girls, I'm still your mother. Biologically, Bo said, but that's about it. Jon tried to speak. Girls, I know you're angry. Don't, Bree said, her voice like ice. Don't you dare try to talk to us. You're not our uncle anymore. You're just the man who helped our mother destroy our family. I never meant for this to happen. Yes, you did, Bo said. You planned it. We saw the emails, remember? You wanted Dad out of the business and out of Mom's life. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. But you lost everything else, Bree added. Your family, your job, your reputation. Was it worth it? Jon looked broken. Beth looked devastated. But my daughters looked strong, confident, unafraid. We're done here, Bree said. Dad, can we go home? Home was still the hotel, but I knew what she meant. Home was wherever we were together, wherever we were safe from the lies and betrayal. As we walked out of the conference room, Beth called after us. This isn't over. I'm still their mother. I have rights. I turned back to her. You have whatever rights the court gives you. Based on your choices, I wouldn't expect much. We left them sitting in the conference room, and I locked the office behind us. In the parking lot, Carl Robertson was waiting by my truck. Everything okay, boss? Everything's perfect, Carl. Better than it's been in months. Good. The guys wanted me to tell you. We're behind you 100%. Whatever you need. I appreciate that, but I think the worst is over. As we drove away from Parish Electric, I looked in the rearview mirror and saw Beth and Jon standing in the parking lot beside Jon's truck, looking lost and defeated. Dad? Bree said from the passenger seat. Yeah? I'm proud of how you handled all this. You could have been mean and vengeful, but you just told the truth and let them destroy themselves. Sometimes that's the most powerful thing you can do, I said. Are we going to be okay? Bo asked from the back seat. We're going to be better than okay, I said. We're going to be honest with each other, and we're going to be a real family. No lies, no secrets, no betrayals. Promise? Promise. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Beth got 30% of the marital assets. The court was not impressed with her adultery and financial deception. She and Jon had moved to Phoenix, where they were reportedly struggling to find work in their respective fields. Word travels fast in professional circles, especially when it involves betrayal and theft. The girls and I moved into a new house, smaller than the old one, but it was ours, built on honesty instead of lies. Bree got her driver's license and started dating a boy from her chemistry class. Bo made the varsity soccer team as a freshman. Parish Electric was thriving. Without Jon's schemes and shortcuts, we'd landed 3 major contracts and hired 6 new employees. The Henderson project had led to 5 more commercial jobs, and our reputation in the community was stronger than ever. I was dating again, a teacher named Susan who coached Bo's soccer team. She was kind, honest, and had no patience for games or manipulation. The girls liked her, which was the most important thing. Beth had tried to contact the girls a few times, but they had made it clear they weren't interested in rebuilding a relationship with her. Maybe someday that would change, but for now, they were content with the family we'd built from the wreckage of the old one. As for Jon, I heard through the grapevine that he and Beth had broken up after 3 months in Phoenix. Apparently, when the excitement of the forbidden affair wore off, they discovered they didn't actually like each other very much. Jon had moved back to the Midwest, but not to our town. He knew better than that. I was in my office late one evening, finishing up paperwork, when Carl knocked on my door. Jimmy, there's someone here to see you. I looked up to see Beth standing in the doorway. She looked older, tired, defeated. Hello, Jimmy. Beth, what are you doing here? I wanted to apologize, and to ask, is there any chance we could try again? I studied her face for a long moment. Are you serious? I made terrible mistakes. I threw away everything good in my life for something that turned out to be worthless. I miss my daughters. I miss us. Beth, there is no us. There hasn't been for a long time. But we had something good once. We had something I thought was good. But it was built on lies and manipulation and betrayal. I can't go back to that, and I won't put the girls through it. They won't even talk to me. Can you blame them? She started crying. I've lost everything, Jimmy. My daughters, my family, my friends. Jon left me for some 25-year-old waitress in Scottsdale. I have nothing. You have exactly what you chose, Beth. You chose Jon over your family. You chose lies over honesty. You chose short-term excitement over long-term stability. These are the consequences of those choices. Please, Jimmy, I'll do anything. There's nothing to do. It's over. It's been over since the day I found you with Jon on our couch. She stood there for a moment, looking around my office at the photos of the girls, the awards from the Chamber of Commerce, the evidence of the life I'd built after she'd destroyed our marriage. I'm sorry, she said finally. I know you are, but sorry doesn't fix what you broke. She nodded and turned to leave, then stopped at the door. Are you happy, Jimmy? Really happy? I thought about it for a moment. Yeah, Beth, I am. For the first time in years, I'm happy. She walked out of my office and out of my life for the final time. I sat back in my chair and smiled. The truth had set me free, and the consequences had taken care of themselves. I didn't need revenge. Beth and Jon had destroyed themselves more thoroughly than I ever could have. My phone buzzed with a text from Bree. Dad, Susan's making dinner and wants to know if you will be home by 7. Home. Not the hotel, not the temporary apartment, but home. The house where my daughters felt safe, where honesty was the foundation, where we'd built something real from the ashes of something fake. I packed up my paperwork, turned off the lights, and headed home to my real family.